In the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
All right. How's everybody doing today? And happy Wednesday to you. And thank you for tuning in for another episode of Grief. Let's talk about a podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I'm the host of this podcast. And yes, we're your number one podcast for bringing you stories around death, down, and grief, and all the messiness that comes in between. With some amazing people out here doing some amazing things, changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, as you guys already know, we've already done one interview with an amazing author, amazing person, Lakeisha. So I have another co-author here today, but she also has an amazing background. And before I bring her up here, I would like to say that this is a live stream. So if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as we go. Now, before I bring her up, one other thing. This is for educational purposes only. Now, without further ado, guys, help me welcome my next guest to the show, Miss Joyce Greenleaf. Joyce, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. I'm very happy to be here, and I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Joyce Greenleaf, and I'm a New Yorker who lives in Los Angeles. And I'm 82 years old and very proud of being 82. Looking forward to 83, and
Yes,
as
yes.
long as I can go, I'm going. Um,
Yeah.
I was a teacher for 34 years. I wanted to teach since I was 6 years old. I had a little bulletin board, a little blackboard with an eraser, and I used to have my students, who were my neighbors, come in when I was in first grade, and I'd sit them on the floor and I'd teach them everything I had learned in school that day. And I knew then that I had a calling. And at 22, I got my master's in teaching, and I was in front of the classroom on my own, and it was a dream come true. And I taught 20 years in New York City, the best teaching years of my life. And I was, my goal was to make sure that the students reach their potential, and equally important, that they believed in themselves. My goal was to make a difference, and I've been lucky enough that all these years later, 60 years, I am still in touch with many of my students from New York, and who are now as old as 60, they're 80.
Wow.
I mean, I'm 80. They're 60s and 50s and 40s. And we have had 7 reunions, and we're very, very tight. They were just fabulous days, and they come into my story later when I talk about my chapter. I'm
Yeah.
an athlete. I play tennis. I love to play tennis. I swim. I walk a lot, and I bicycle ride. I've had a very good life. I'm still having a very good life. And I'm generally a very happy person, but I have been through some very trying times, and we'll talk about that later. Um,
Yeah. I have a question for you. I
yes,
have a question
please.
for you because at 82 years old, what's the secret? What's the secret to staying young and active and vibrant and happy and just outgoing? What's the secret to it? Because
That's a very
people,
good question. And
yeah,
I would say that for me, it's passion and doing the things I love, which started with going to camp and becoming really interested in sports, finding things that you like to do. When I taught for all those wonderful years, and I am now an actor, and I have always been able to find something that brings me joy. Joy is My name is Joyce, and I think my parents named me that for a reason. Joy is my goal, actually, and to help other people. I think that it's very important to, I love to write. And I started writing, well, this is interesting. I was an English major who couldn't read very well or fast enough, and got a C in English composition, which was very frustrating for me. Everybody in the class wanted, everybody in this area wanted to be an English major, and I had those two liabilities. However, I found out, and this was a surprise to me, that I started to write it in a journal, and I was talking about my feelings, which is so important to me. I know a lot of people told me, don't wear your heart on your sleeve, but I'm a person who wears my heart on my sleeve. And that's who I am. And those are I'm very in touch with my feelings. And what I learned was I was a writer, all right. I could write journals and write about what I felt. I just couldn't write essays. So
Yeah.
that changed me from being a C writer to, or thinking about myself that way, to becoming a person who published a book in 2011. And it was a funny book. It's called Curtains for My Mirrors, because I was having a lot of trouble getting older. And so it's a humorous approach to coping with aging. And it was all self-deprecating stories about 23 struggles I had with getting older. But when I had that book in my hand, I knew that teacher, that professor who gave me a C, didn't know what he was talking about.
I love that. I love that because it's one of the things that as an educator now, and being in the grief field, I realize not everybody learns the same way, right? And so you have to develop certain techniques to help people learn, right? And then you find that, hey, they may be a lot more interested in it if they understood it from their perspective, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just like yourself, like I struggled because the teachers, I thought about things in a different way. Now, not saying that the way I thought about it was wrong because I always got the answers right, but I couldn't explain how I got it, right? Because the teacher's like, "Oh, you need to do it this way." I used to go, "Well, that don't make sense to me," but it makes more sense for me to do it this way. Um, and so there was a lot of conflict in school when it came down to that. But even now, even in the grief field, and working with men, not all men learn the same way. Not all men absorb information the same way, which is for me is the most beautiful thing because it helps me to understand how they may look at their situation and provide healthier tools for them to be able to navigate that world, right? And so, yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you, because one of the things that you've learned and I learned is that people don't learn the same way. And you as a teacher have to find out how you can get them uh, to to teach them the way they need to be taught.
right,
And
right,
generally, teachers teach right down the center, which the students who really love school may want a different approach, and the children who are struggling, need to be taught in a different way. So what I did
yeah,
was I used my strengths, which were finding. I was always trying to teach life lessons so that my students wouldn't have some of the same struggles that I had. And I would use music and poetry and drama and movies and books, um, and that reached everybody on a slightly different level, but they got the gist of it.
right,
And for me, that was how I worked with that particular problem, which is a very serious problem, because
yeah,
I only realized actually when I was taking tennis lessons that I didn't learn the way the teacher was teaching me, because he was teaching scientific things that I didn't understand. So I
Mhm.
told him, this is the way I need to learn. I just need to be shown and talked in very simplistic language. And I became a good tennis player, but only because he had to teach me differently. So
Right.
I understand that.
Now, your walk, well, first, my first question, would do you would you had ever imagined seeing yourself being the person that you are today from all the challenges that you had to endure along the way? But it sounds like you've had a blast though, but we also have our ups and downs as well.
Well, I would say that I think journal writing actually was the beginning of. I'm always interested in self exploration as an actor. That's extremely important. And I used to say I only. My first acting teacher said, "Well, we're going to work on the many sides you have." I said, "Oh no, I only have two." And he laughed and laughed. And the greatest thing about both writing and acting is that it's self exploration. And I have one rule about journal writing, and that is I have to be honest. I can not
Yes.
write a lie of any kind. I have to see what it is that I'm feeling, and then of course in journal writing you switch from subject to subject as it comes to your mind. But it is definitely, I think it's a therapy. You're being your own therapist and using those tools to get to understand yourself better,
Yeah.
and that to me is the key. So in answer to your question, um, I'm not surprised that I have ultimately grown to recognize that I'm very proud of myself. And sometimes I have moments, believe me, um,
Yes.
when I struggle with, I'm not good enough, or how come I'm not doing this or that.
Mm.
But generally, as I get older, and certainly now, I'm very proud of who I am and where I've arrived. And a lot of that has to do with my parents. So um, in a very significant way.
I can understand that. I could definitely understand that. Now, let's talk about your journey, right? And what was it like? Because you have your own grief journey as well. If you could, if you don't mind, if you don't mind sharing some of it with us and everything, because I know you talk about it in the book, and we're going to talk about that a little bit as well.
What would you like me to share? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Part of your grief journey
Oh,
and how
absolutely.
and how it helped mold you to who the to the amazing person that you are today.
Oh, definitely. Um, the most difficult death I experienced was the death of my mother, and we didn't have a good relationship until the age of 19. She was the disciplinarian in the family, and I was a very fresh teenager, so extremely fresh, and so we struggled. I struggled. Um, and I got spanked in the rear end till I was 14 years old. And then her friends taught her, try the silent treatment. And oh my God, that really worked because I couldn't bear, all I wanted was attention. So at 19, I went to the University of Michigan, and she would write letters, and I realized that, oh my gosh, this lady is terrific. And from that moment on, then when they came to homecoming weekend, my mother was the light of my life. Our relationship grew, and we became close friends, and I spoke to her every day for 16 years. And the reason it was only 16 was that she died at 65.
Mm.
And I had told a friend, I had no idea she was sick, but I said, the only person who I couldn't live without is my mother. And then a week or two later, my father said, I have bad news. And my mom died of liver cancer 10 months later. And at first, I was, how could she do this to me? How could she abandon me? And I turned against her in my own, I was 35, but I was 10. I didn't know how to deal with it, and I was very angry. So I stopped talking to her until Thanksgiving, when I heard her tell my cousin the hardest thing she had to do was tell the principal after 19 years that she had to retire because she had cancer. And suddenly I realized, oh my goodness, it's happening to her. And from that point on, I gave every ounce of love I had. And I moved home the last 6 weeks, and it was the saddest, happiest time of my life, because I got to show her the way I felt, and I got to do things for her. And the most impactful thing that happened was when we had our last conversation, when no one was around. She took my hands and she said to me, why didn't I tell you all these years how much I loved you?
Mm.
And that shocked me, because she showed me. I didn't know she didn't tell me. And I started to cry, and she said, you can cry now, but promise me you won't cry later. So like a little girl, I put my fingers behind my back and I crossed them, and I knew I was telling a lie. And I said, I promise you. And she said, well, it's not too late. I love you from the bottom of my heart. But for the next 2.5 years, I broke my promise, and I cried every single day. And what brings me back to my students is that they were the people who saved me, because I knew that when I went into class, I was responsible for them. And they let me be who I was. Sometimes I got angry, sometimes I got sad. But my goal was to do the best I could for them. And so I am grateful to, they always tell me how much they love me and how much I gave them. And I say, you don't know how much you gave me. So the loss of my mother, to this day, in 47 years later, she's still a very important part of my life. And so are the other people who I talk about in my chapter of the book. But that was, of all the things that have happened to me, she is the person I still love the most. She gave me belief in myself. She was a fantastic listener. And boy, did I talk. But she helped me. She accepted me the way I was. And I remember her saying once, I could have saved you so much time. And I said, why didn't you? And she said, because you have to learn things yourself.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very good lesson. And when she died, and we came back to the house after the gravesite ceremony, including myself, I heard 3 people say, I lost my best friend. And I thought to myself, 3 people felt that way, at least. And it was because she was a wonderful listener and a wonderful person, kind and compassionate. And she would say to me, she was also very honest, and she would say to me, stop feeling sorry for yourself. I want to take you to a hospital so you can see what people who are really suffering look like. And I never forgot that she said that. So she was a life lesson person as well, very,
Yeah.
very definitely. So
I love the fact that you brought that up, because there was someone else that had said the same thing, right? A motivational speaker, and he was teaching his son. you know, teaching his son that same lesson. So this information has been passed down from generation to generation, and I love the fact that that is still effective, right? You want to get down on yourself, you want to see what regret really looks like. Let's go to a retirement home. Let's put you around the people, that wish that they could have been done things differently and things like that, and sit around and talk to them. But also, don't just talk to them. Talk to the ones who have lived a good life and talk to them and see what it's like. And then you come back out and rethink the way that you're making your choices in your life, right?
Yeah.
And there's such valuable lessons, such valuable
Yeah,
lessons.
but she also, would let me, she said, okay, I've let you feel sorry for yourself enough. Enough. And then she'd give me that line about other people being much worse off than I was.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought about that until right now for a long time, but that was an extremely important lesson.
Now, let me ask you a question because we're both involved. And by the way, I want to share the great news with everybody right now. Um, so you guys have, if you guys have been keeping up, I've been a part of a project, an anthology, which is the love language of grief. And as I mentioned before, Joyce is also a co-author of this book. This book is now 52 on Amazon, so it's becoming a bestseller right now. So we're still celebrating the small wins as it's starting to climb. If you guys would like to get the ebook, please go get the ebook. 2.99, get it, and it's a great read. Um, Joyce, let's talk about the love language of grief and your chapter a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, when as I said before, when I heard the word grief, I I knew that it spoke to me, and so I
Yeah.
called my friend, who is also in the book, Danny Matthews, and she was a student of mine when she was in sixth grade. And I asked her, I said, if you can still add people, I would like to write about it because I have a different perspective than most people. So I sat down at the computer and I hadn't thought about what I was going to write about until I sat down. And then I realized that there have been four people in my life whose death had an immense effect on me.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so at 82, I wanted to share, in this case, the people were much younger than I am, and they didn't live through the first two. So the people I chose were President John F. Kennedy, um, Robert Kennedy, his brother, who was a senator from New York, and Kobe Bryant, who is in my everyday life. I have his picture right by the computer with Mamba mentality on the cover. Um, Mamba mentality is a philosophy I live by, and forgive me, but I talk to him every day, and I do better every day because I have his Mamba mentality. I'm always trying to do better, to be the best I can be, to do the things I don't really want to do, but I know I should do. And Kobe
Hmm.
tells me, okay, go do it. And I do. And of course, the last person is my mother. And um, and I sat down at the computer. I had no idea until I came up with this idea. I sat at the computer with the exception of sleeping and eating for 11 hours the first
Hmm.
day and 3 hours the second day. And my heart wrote the book. It was, and it was very cathartic.
Hmm.
I had never thought of my life in terms of grief, and it started really it started early with a breakup when I was 13, but I didn't think that was an important story to. That only lasted about 6 years of grief, but that was a different kind of grief. But
Very true.
um, these people have really impacted me, and I in each section of the 4 sections in the chapter, I discuss how their deaths affected me.
Mhm.
And you know, I wrote from my heart. So when you write from your heart, there are no wrongs. um, it was, but what was really great about it was that I saw that there was a pattern. And then I'm a person who grieves for a long time.
Yes.
And I'm always told, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should be over this by now. And, and being criticized and judged. And when I saw the pattern all these years, it's so obvious that my mother's death took me 2.5 years of crying every single day. And oh boy, was I criticized. But I
Mhm.
needed every step of the way. And
Yeah.
when I finished 2.5 years, um, I had I had experienced what I needed, not what everybody else needed. Everybody told me to move on,
Yes. There
but
you go. Yeah.
it's your own experience. And what I just wrote to somebody on Facebook today who lost his mother, and it's been over a year, and I just wrote that there's no right and wrong. And I said, choose the people to be with who understand how you are and
Hmm.
where you are. Don't be with people who criticize you and tell you how awful it is that you just can't get up and move on.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody has a path to follow, and it's not always the same, and nobody's better than the other person. Everybody grieves differently.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that is the part where people sometimes, well, a lot people make the mistake. They compare themselves to the next person, right? And just as well as I do, as you begin to heal or begin to grow within your grief changes. And these are just memories that they need to be looked at. They need to be acknowledged. They need to be validated and felt. And that's just the one part of grief that people talk about, right? Or may even um, um, get mistaken, so to speak. And what I mean by that is because everybody's always in comparison. This person has gone through the same thing that I'm going through, but they're not doing it like this, and I shouldn't feel like this type thing. And like you said, no, this is yours. You get to cater this to you, you know. And when we think about the connection that we can have when we do that, it allows us to be more human because you are a human being. No matter who you are or where you're from, you're still a human being. It's okay to miss people that we've lost along the way, right? Because they all had an impact in our life. Everybody
Absolutely.
taught us something, you know. Everybody taught us something. Now let's talk about the love language. What are your thoughts on the love language of grief? I love this topic.
Well, I can tell you what I told this person on Facebook this morning, that my mother, Kobe Bryant, President Kennedy, and Bobby Kennedy made me richer. I, I I learned from their philosophy of life. I and they what I feel strongly is that they are a part of me,
Mhm.
especially Kobe, because Kobe and my mom, because it's with my mom it feels like she died yesterday. So when I say it's current, I mean it's still here. I mean
Mhm.
I have I'm one of these people who have photographs all over the place. And right next to my computer are my family pictures. So they're with me all the time. I don't I think people will think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Um, I talked to them. I talked to my mom and dad. I talked to Kobe. I talked to, of course, talked to friends who have died, but especially um, I, I'm not. I talk to them because they're the people who, and I hear them. I, they're not really talking to me, of course, but I hear them through my heart. And in my mom's case, I know exactly what she'd say. 47 years ago, I haven't seen her for 47 years, but she tells me exactly what she feels, just the way she would have done then. And she's very much a part of me, as is Kobe. Co- Kobe's importance is that I still have his speeches. We all still have his speeches. And I'm on a Lakers line. I've been on it for a long time, since Kobe died. 6 years, he died 6 years ago, and there isn't one single day when people don't talk about him. So I don't feel that I'm strange about that. I feel that people impact you, the ones who do, not many people, but the major people. And that's what I learned when I wrote this chapter, because I had never put it together before.
Hmm.
And it explains I'm a very joyful person, but I have a very deep side of me that's sad. And
Hmm.
and I was able to see, well, of course I was sad, because this has been going on all my life,
Yeah.
where I've taken these things to heart, and they live inside me.
Hmm.
And that's love. And I'm it was very difficult going through it, but I I have such a full heart, and they are the reason for it. And that I've dwelled on it, and that I've lived with it, and that this topic, when I saw the word grief, it's not a subject that I've talked about. But when I saw the word grief, I said, I have to do that. And the love, when I wrote it, I experienced every single sentence I wrote. I was back in all of those places, all those times. I relived the Kennedy assassinations. It was painful. And but I care about these people. They make me a better person. They they fill my heart. And if you, my dad taught me something. He said many things, but one of the things he said is, "You do you want to live in the 100th percentile, where you're going to experience the greatest highs, but there's a price to pay. If you live in the highest highs, you're also going to live in the lowest lows.
Hmm.
Do you want? Are you willing to go that route?" And the answer obviously is not that I wanted to live the lowest lows, but that was what was going to happen to me, because I was shooting for 100%.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my heart is very full, and writing those chapter was so significant and so important for me. And also to see that it had to be that way, because that's who I am.
Yeah.
And to hear people tell you you're doing it the wrong way, move on. They don't understand me,
But
but I
and
do.
those who speak that way, they don't understand someone who is grieving either, right? And that is possible. Maybe, I know for me, I didn't know what grief was. I didn't, right? Um, I didn't know that that was even a thing. even as growing up, experiencing life in the way that I did. I had no idea what it was. No one ever spoke about it. It wasn't until later on in life, in my 40s, my mother had just passed, and all I knew was that I was on the road of destruction, right? So when I wrote my chapter after making the decision to be curious enough to see where this grief was going to take me and what it truly meant, and just like yourself, that's how I found my calling. I was like, oh, wow, this makes sense to me. Let me pursue this and see what happens. And the layers that came along with it. And so just like yourself, when I saw the love language of grief, I saw it advertised at first from Lakeisha. And I was always like, man, I would love to be a part of something like that. And just so happens she reached out to me. And I told her, I said, of course, I'm in for it because it gave me the opportunity to at least open up the doors for people to see this other level that is possible. And it happens very often, and that a lot of people never even notice it, and I broke it down and I told everyone, I said, look, when you're going to these support groups, things like that, your needs are going to change, and so are the people. Now, out of those people that you meet throughout these groups, one or two may have a really strong bond with, and you guys may go through all of these other groups together and have this great friendship and not even understand. And what I found was, and it was a theory that I came up with. I said, I wonder, and I just got done reading the Four Seasons, or the love languages, the love languages, I believe. And it dawned on me. And I started being very observant with the people who were bonding like this. And I wonder because this person automatically knew what this person needed, right? Without question. And it kind of brought them together because you see that their reaction like, hold on, how did you know what I needed without saying anything? And that's when people speak to your love language. Um, and I also had experienced that myself when after I lost my son, when my son passed away, a really good friend of mine, um, and I've known him now going on 19 years and everything, and we connected in a way to where it was just organic. There was no pushy into it. There was no string. It was just like, oh, okay, I like hanging out with this guy, and vice versa. And we've just been rocking ever since then. So when I wrote the chapter, I went, man, this is what this is all about. And I haven't had the chance to see everybody's chapter, but I'm excited to read the book. I
Me too.
really am excited to read the book. And that's where I told Lakeisha yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, I had her on the show. I told her, I said, I'm so jealous. You get to
That's
see
why I
everybody else's
bought the book.
pages.
I had
Yeah,
to have
see.
it right now. So in a book, I
Yeah,
really,
I gotta see it, and to be amongst other people, like-minded individuals, and watch this book come together. It's so beautiful because it's a book that I'm actually putting together as well, and it's going to be full of men. Because Lakeisha had got this part. I was like, well, men, there's some men out there that I know that could put together some great stuff, and then
well,
you
you
get to see
you
it
let
from a
us
different
know
perspective. Oh
so
yes,
we
yes,
can
yes.
read it.
That's one of my dreams. That's one of my goals and one of my dreams. That's one of my next projects after I get done with the 100 others that I have going on right now.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's when you asked about, how you uh, keep living, really
Hmm.
living, and my word is joy. It's having those dreams and wanting those projects. And when I was walking yesterday, that's when I do a lot of my thinking. Um, and I've been thinking a lot about my dad because I had written about my mom, and my dad was very special when he died. something very special before he died. Something very special happened, and so when I was walking yesterday, I had the idea for how the next project, and I didn't know it was a next project, but it is now. That it it is about my dad and about the two of us together, and I'm starting with the ending, how it ended, and then going back to tell the story from the beginning and get back to the end. And it's also a way. I regret that I didn't know the ending earlier, how much he loved me. I didn't. He told me, but I didn't understand until this event happened at the very, very end that made me change my completely the thoughts that I had had during some of those years. And it's those kinds of dreams that you're talking about. You have these things you have to do, and I'm running out of time, so I better do them fast. But it's exciting. That's the exciting part of living with that hope. I've got to do this. This is what I need to do, and that's why the grief. I was so shocked that as soon as I saw the word grief, I just knew I had to be part of it. I never explored it. And also you are also lucky to have support groups. I didn't know anything about a support group. I felt so isolated when my mom died. I had no one, a lot of people didn't want to talk to me because I was sad. And
Well, I didn't have support groups because as a man, there was no men's groups out here. There was groups that included men, but men never went.
I see.
And so the men's groups that I was looking for was pretty much non-existent or very few and far in between. And so where I live at out here in Colorado, there was pretty much nothing. And I said, you know what? I have to do something because this is ridiculous. Because I know if I don't do something, if I don't learn how to navigate this, the next time that I try to take my life, I am going to be successful because I was just that angry and I didn't care. And so, through a lot of grace, a lot of hard work, I was able to start my first nonprofit, Memories of Us, where I was able to connect with other men like myself. And so, my nonprofit was the first one to offer support groups to men virtually as well as in person. Um, and through that journey, I've been able to connect with other men's organizations out there to bring that support to a more vast audience out there. So we're reaching men across the world now. So that's only within 7 years. But before then, very few and far in between, because I think the wrong people were trying to speak to men in a language that they didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I only know that I was so alone
Mm.
when my mom died. With one of the things I mentioned in the book, when Kobe died, I was in this Lakers. Lots of people felt the way I did, and lots of people, everybody talked about it. So that, without realizing it, that was my support group. And there was nothing wrong with me. When my mom died and I reacted the way I did, I thought something must be wrong with me because everybody's criticizing me. And with Kobe, it's different because everybody shares they're not embarrassed. They share their vulnerability. And
Mhm.
that's what you're doing is, oh my gosh, it's so important. And I wish that I had known there were other people who felt the way I did,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
that was just, and again, my students, and they did save me. As soon as it was recess or lunch or after school, I was back to crying. But while I was in that room, they lifted me, and I had something important to do, and that is another way, a very important way of dealing with a solution, not a solution, a partial solution to what you're going through, because you're passionate about something else, or you have a purpose, and to other people, and you can't let them down. That's not fair. That's not right. So, again, you as a teacher yourself know that they think we've done it all for them. They don't realize in any way how much they do for us.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, right? Because it's a
Yes.
fair exchange when you actually think about it. And most people don't even look at it that way. And there's things that you're going to learn along the ways that you may not see the lessons in it right away. You may just only see the tragedy. You may not even see it till months, years down the line. And I know it has been that way for me for a few times, to where now I can look back on a lot of things, a lot of people, and I can really say I appreciate you, no matter what the outcome was. Why we don't talk, or or even if we do talk, no matter what the outcome is, I still appreciate you. Because without those individuals, I don't think I would have ever been pushed in the right direction. Right? As negative as it may seem, I realized that it pushed me in the right direction. And I think Steve Jobs said it best. He goes, it's really hard to see the picture when you're standing inside of the picture. Sometimes, in order to connect the dots, you have to stand outside of the picture and look at the full thing. And then, only then, will it make sense to you. And so those are, just like yourself, I have people that they're still alive. They're still alive, but I consider great mentors to me, even to this day. And to be honest with you, Joyce, they don't even know that I even exist.
Hmm.
They don't even,
Right.
and right, and and
And
how
I
much
think,
of impact they
yeah,
have on me.
I
You
I
know,
I think that's really important. What One of the things I write in the chapters, I didn't know these people except for my mom. I didn't know them personally,
hmm
but they were my family. They became my family because they were in my life. And I just want you to know, that I think it is a privilege to talk to you.
oh,
Um, I,
thank you,
I, you're very easy to talk to,
thank
and
you,
you're very wise. And I admire people who think and feel and express it. I admire it so much,
thank
because
you.
I'm one of you.
Oh,
I
we
mean,
all one huge family. We got
yeah,
our community. We have our
I
community now.
yes, I feel, that all of these things that I've never talked about, because who's going to listen to me?
hmm
Um, that it feels so good to in my particular case, to see where it started. And it did start with that 13-year-old boy who told me he was tired of me. It started there. Um, that lasted about 6 years. But I mean, when I didn't want, that wasn't important for this situation. But there's a pattern. It starts a long time ago,
hmm
and there's nothing wrong with me. I can wear my heart on my sleeve, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm okay with that. There, I'm proud of that. I'm proud I have feelings, and that I'm able to express them, and that I'm part of a group where everybody is has that same vulnerability and need to share it. I think
Yes.
it's essential. I really do, and most people don't have that. So I feel very, very lucky to have fallen into this. And again, I repeat, you are you ask fabulous questions. You
Thank you.
are a great listener, and it is a privilege to spend time with you.
Yes. Now, I only have two more questions for you before I
Yes,
let you go.
I have
Um,
answers.
yes, yes. And they're very simple, very simple. The first question would be, how can people find you, Joyce?
How can people find me? Oh, well, they can find me on Facebook, and I can give my email address. Is that possible to do online?
Yeah. Did you send it over to in your bio? Did you
Yes.
send it in?
I
Okay,
don't
so
know. I don't know, but you have it. You have it.
okay. Yeah, guys, if you want to connect with her, she's on Facebook as well. So go over there, check her out. She's doing some amazing things. Second question for you, Joyce. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
My superpower is my ability to share my life lessons and to be to care about other people. I care about other people very, very much. That's why I was a good teacher. And I find myself in acting class. My Many of the students are much younger than I am, and I find that I'm doing the same thing at 82 that I did when I was 22,
Hmm,
and that was try to share what I've learned from my own experiences that can help them. And I want to do that. I want to build people's self. Just exactly what I wanted to do for children is what I want to do. What I've done my whole life. And I mean, I was a born teacher. I care a lot, and I want people to believe in themselves.
hmm.
And
I
by
love
the
it.
way, that's me too, because I've spent a lot of time when I didn't believe in myself, and still have those times. But
Yes.
my mother taught my mother. I have to share this one quick story.
No.
When my mother had cancer, she had all these tapes that she was listening, self-help tapes, and my father was standing in the doorway, and she finished the tape, and the man on the tape said, "You did so well. Pat yourself on the back." And my dad watched her go like this to herself, and that's the way I tell people to do that. And that's the way I feel about myself. I am proud that I've lived 82 years. I haven't always done the right thing, but I'm a good person, and and I, I believe in myself.
That's amazing.
And
That's
I
amazing.
believe in you too, for sure. And all your dreams that are ahead of you are all going to come true. I know it.
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate it because, like yourself, I struggle with imposter syndrome as well. But I fight through it. I fight through it because I go, you know what? It's so much bigger than me. It has nothing to even do with me. I just want to encourage other people to think outside the box, chase your dreams, but live within your gift as well, right? And you will experience a life that is so free and creative and beautiful just by making the decision to say, this is who I am, right? And this is what I'm going to do. This is my purpose in this world. And everybody that's tuning in as we begin to wrap this up, don't forget to head on over to Amazon. The Love Language of Grief is out on the ebook, 2.99. We're going for that bestseller. Help us get there. Get your copy. Enjoy the reads. We're going to have more co-authors coming. You guys already know what to do. If it's your first time tuning in, head on over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And most importantly, if you know anyone who can benefit from the conversations that we have, please share this along with them. We will be live on Roku as well as Fire TV, all across the social media platforms. So go support the channels as well. But most importantly, go support Joyce. And as always, you guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch, and we're signing out. We're going to see you guys in the next one. And by all means, live within your love language. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling. Joyce,
Thank you,
thank you.
everybody. It was a
Yes.
pleasure to talk to you too.
And we're going to see you guys in the next one. You guys have an amazing day. We love you. And we are out.